Hi folks, Jim Gill here at Serenity Gardens Eco Village and at a lot that my wife and I purchased a few months back from the community here. And I'm talking with Brendon McKeon. Now we looked for years for the best permaculturalist in the area. And we've had people like Scott Pittman here, we've had a lot of people here, but we needed somebody on site full-time that knew what they were doing. And Brendon is by far the most talented permaculture guy that I've ever met. So Brendon, take it away.
So we're here at our sustainable home project, and Jim came to us with the idea. Obviously, we've been doing broad scale design for Serenity Gardens Eco Village, planting out the fruit tree systems, perennial edible systems all throughout the land, what we're calling drive-through sustainability, looking at erosion control, water systems, all the different elements that we're implementing and integrating into Serenity Gardens Eco Village. Jim came to us with the idea of let's create a micro scale model of what one of these home sites could be. And so the idea there was to create a full circle microsystem that one family can have everything they need to live on. Now, when we say everything, of course, unless you're a boot maker, you're gonna need to still go to the shoe store, so on and so forth. But we're talking about if that day came, there was some kind of food crisis in the world, there was some kind of water crisis in the world, these people aren't just gonna survive, but they're still gonna thrive. There's gonna be plenty of food to meet the needs of one family, and in reality, more than one family, in less than 1/2 acre of land. What we're gonna do now, you might have seen one of our other videos, we kind of introduced the project. Now we've actually broken ground, we're moving forward. We're gonna take a walk through today, and I'm gonna show you all the different systems we have in place, and stay in tune. In another month and a half, you know, it's just gonna get more and more detailed and more dialed in, and you're gonna be amazed at what we do with this place. So let's go take a look at what we're doing. All right, so I'm just gonna run through a quick overview of our design here, because then we're gonna go and actually walk through each of these systems. Again, our total area here is a little less than 1/2 acre, about 2,200 meters squared. And what we're looking at here is this is where the road runs around the edge of the property. This is our contour garden. We're going to have garden beds on swale. We're going to go take a look at those right now. Our house is going to be up here. Again, with proper design, we're always looking at proximity. So we're going to have the kitchen garden greenhouse right next to the house. The chicken coop will be right there, really close to the house as well. We're going to have a nice entryway for you to come in and unload your stuff to the house, the greenhouse. Right up here next to the house will be the food forest, and then we have our line of ponds running along the edge of the contour garden, and that will be feeding all of these systems, all of these contour garden beds. There's going to be trail systems throughout, making for easy access no matter where you need to go. We'll have a nice privacy hedge around the whole entire thing. In this area we'll have some small fencing that will contain our meat chickens. So that's the basic idea. Just wanted to show you how we kind of design this out on paper before we actually start breaking soil. Now let's go actually take a look at those systems, and I'll go into them a little bit further. So here we are. We're at the home site location, and this is this blank hillside behind me here. We've left that open. That's where the home site's going to sit. We chose that location for a couple of different reasons. One is it's a steeper hillside and we can use it for the house, and that's not going to take up our flatter ground where we're going to want to use more for food systems. Right next to the house site is our food forest agroforestry system, okay? And what that system's all about is a dense system of perennial trees and plants, and all of it's planted out on contour. So the idea there is we have 4 different contour lines which we planted with vetiver and flamengia. Flamengia is our nitrogen fixer. Vetiver is our erosion control grass. We planted those about 1 meter apart on contour. And so what those are going to do is they're going to be available to chop and drop for mulch for our system, and they're also going to, because it's on a hillside, they're going to slow down the water. Over time they're going to build a terrace, and what we're doing is we're planting our fruit trees about 2 meters up from those hedges. And so what that does is as that terrace builds and as all of that soil that's coming down builds up and stops right there, we're creating a soil pool. And so we're going to build up a terrace right under our fruit trees over time, and nature's going to do it for us. So we got the 2 meters up, we got the fruit trees. In between each fruit tree we're planting a banana. That again, if you've heard some of my other talks on that, that's for a couple different strategies. Really quick, fast producing food. Bananas are also great because they create really quick shade. And so we're working at speeding up succession here when we're doing these agroforestry systems. And so the bananas are creating shade and getting our ground covers to become those softer, nicer ground covers that we really want, those nice native ground covers. And it also helps during the summertime with the really intense sun. And the bananas are really easy to work with because if we have too much shade on one of our trees, we go back, we cut a couple branches off, a couple leaves off, no big deal, and we let our sun in. But it also provides quick shade for where we need it. We're also going to be planting a bunch of other species of stuff in there. Pigeon pea, another nitrogen fixer, as well as an edible legume. Papaya. We're going to have a bunch of understory trees such as noni, acerola, guayvita de Peru, a bunch of different understory things going on. We'll have some ground covers of pineapple, ayote squash. So this is going to be a really densely planted food forest. And you know, we have about 20 overstory fruit trees, which are our bigger grafted fruit trees. We have another 20 understory fruit trees. We got another 35 bananas. We're gonna have another 30 papayas in there. So as you can see, a huge amount of food in a really small area for one family. Again, that's right next to the house, super easy access. And now let's go take a look at the greenhouse. What we use the greenhouse for here in the tropics is to protect our more delicate types of vegetables. And with our heavy rains that we get throughout the year here, it's really important to protect certain types of vegetables that just don't do well when they're getting hit by water all the time. You know, lots of varieties of tomatoes don't like getting hit by water. Lettuces are more delicate, things like eggplant, cucumbers. So we call this our kitchen garden. And this greenhouse will act for many different purposes on this little mini homestead. It's going to be an area where we can propagate plants. It's going to be an area where we're going to have a storage spot for fertilizers and garden tools and things like that. And we chose the location of the greenhouse very specifically as we chose everything on this lot. But again, with permaculture design, we're always looking at zonation. So your zone 1 area is the area right around your house. These are the things that you're going to be going to every day. And then as things that need less care, that you don't need to visit as often, we put those out in further zones, zone 2, zone 3, all the way out to zone 5, which is usually your forested areas. This greenhouse is right here in our zone 1, right next to the house. Super easy access for when you want to come out and grab some herbs for dinner. You want to come out and grab your salad for dinner, things like that. You know, it's going to be about a 10-foot walk from the house porch. Also, the way we chose the layout of this design for the greenhouse, we're going to have an entrance road that comes straight in off the main road here, and that's going to enter the under part of the house. We're going to have a roof overhang, and there's going to be a whole big storage area underneath the house, along with a bunch of other purposes that we'll talk about later. But you're going to be able to come right in, you're going to be able to unload stuff underneath the house, you're going to be able to unload stuff in the greenhouse. The chicken coop's going to be right here across from the greenhouse, so you can unload your chicken food and all that stuff. It makes it super easy access. So these are some of the things that that are really important to think about when you're designing a permaculture landscape. You know, whether it's a broad scale 50-acre farm or whether in this case it's a half-acre mini homestead. You want to think about design and layout. These are the most important things to start with. Let's go look at a couple other things we got going on. So we're standing here looking at our contour staple garden, and the purpose of this garden is going to be a giant outdoor garden. It's going to be full of all sorts of staple crops, all the roots that grow really well here in Costa Rica, beans, corn, nitrogen fixing plants, herbs, lots of perennial flowering plants as well to attract beneficial insects. It's going to be a full gamut garden. The main difference between the greenhouse we just looked at and this we're gonna plant stuff out here that is fine in the outdoors year-round. And a brunt of the food on this lot is gonna come from this garden. It's gonna be a huge food producer, easily producing enough food for one family of certain varieties. And you know, a garden this side, planted in the right way, intensively, could produce food for 5 families. Some cool aspects of what we're doing here, you can kind of see we have some swales and some raised beds. So what we're doing is the swales are gonna, this area of Costa Rica has also a really good summertime, and so what we want to do is during the rainy season, when we have all this heavy rain, we want to capture all that water, we want to slow it down, keep it right here on this lot, and sink it into the ground, right? So then it's going to be more available underneath in the water table for the summertime. So we put these swales in on contour. Swales are basically ditches, drainage ditches dug on contour. And in the foreground there, in the front of the swale, we planted a line of vetiver at 1/2 meter apart. That's going to fill in as a really nice thick hedge. That's going to act for 2 different things. That's going to act to slow our water down before it hits the swale. It's also going to act as a protection to protect the lip and hold that lip of the swale in place. And it also acts as great mulch. So the vetiver is going to be right along our path. So if you're walking down the path in the garden, your vetiver will be on one side before your next swale, and on your right, on this side of you, will be your garden bed. So you're going to be able to walk along, chop your vetiver, and throw it right on your garden bed for mulch. It's going to be super simple. Again, we're looking at really focusing on layouts when we're doing permaculture design. Another really cool aspect of this design is we're going to go next and we're going to look at the fish ponds. What we're doing is we're laying out fish ponds running the whole length of the side of this garden. And each of those fish ponds is going to be plumbed with piping that's going to run from the bottom of the fish pond and into the swale. And it's going to have a valve. So what you can do is you can go over there, get your broom, scrub your fish pond bottom a little bit, get all your fertilizer, all your fish poop floating in the water, flip your valve on, and fill up your whole entire swale with fish poop water. This is going to be our watering system for the summertime, and it's also going to be our fertilizer system. You know, this garden, again, some of the main points is we have the swale, and then right behind that you can see the raised bed. And so obviously we're just in the beginning stage of this. We're going to shape those beds. We're going to put really good fertilizers and minerals in there to start with. We're going to plant out our veggies and watch it go to work for us. Let's go take a look at the ponds now. So we're standing here at our fish ponds, also known as aquaculture system. And I gotta tell you, I'm super excited about this system. One is because I love fish, and I also love the amount of protein-dense food that this system is gonna produce in a very small area. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the design here. We have 5 ponds laid out in a row going down the slope here. And the reason we have 5 is we wanted to pick an odd number of ponds. What's the reason for that? Well, every other pond is gonna either be a fish pond or a filter pond. So in this case, we're gonna have a fish pond, filter pond, fish pond, filter pond. Fish pond is our 5th, and then that is gonna flow into a lower biofiltration area that we have set up that is gonna eventually feed back to the river. So we're cleaning the water in between each fish pond through these filter ponds, which have a bunch of aquatic plants. They'll have things like clams that will actually help clean, and different types of fish that will clean the surface of the pond. In our fish ponds, we're gonna have a huge variety of different types of seafood, and freshwater seafood. So we're gonna have freshwater shrimp, we're gonna have freshwater lobster, we're gonna have clams, we're gonna have tilapia, we're gonna have carp, we're gonna have catfish. 6 to 8 different varieties of edible, living, fish going on here, and they're going to be able to reproduce. Oh, I forgot snails, escargot. That's one of my favorites. They're going to be able to reproduce really fast. It's a small input system, so we don't need to put a lot into the system to get a lot out of the system. Our filtration ponds, we're also going to be growing various types of water plants, such as azolla, water lettuce. And these are actually for fish food, and also we use them for chicken food. So we'll take that, we'll clean those out. They grow super fast. We'll clean those ponds out about once every week or two. We'll dry them out in a little solar dehydrator. When you go and you dry those things, it actually densifies the protein and densifies the feed. So we'll dry those out, we'll stick them in a sealed container, and that's gonna be our fish food and our chicken food. In this same area, I already talked about our chicken system that's over by the house. That's gonna be our egg-laying chickens. In this area, we're gonna have a small perimeter fence running in between the staple crop garden and the edge of the ponds here. And we're gonna plant that out again with a nice grass cover and put some leguminous ground cover in there. And we're gonna let our meat chickens free range around these ponds here. And again, we're doubling up and utilizing every square inch of space we can on this place. So, you know, we're not just gonna have pretty grass that you can walk around on. We're also gonna let our meat chickens have that as a great source for grass and bugs and everything else they're gonna get in there. Again, we already talked about it a little bit, but from each of these ponds, we'll have tubing flowing into our staple crop garden where you can open that up and feed those staple crops with this excellent fish food. Thanks for coming out. We're gonna go down and take a quick look at our biofilter and go from there. So we're down here at the bottom pond and in our chain of ponds, and right here where I'm sitting is gonna be the exit where all the water that moves through our aquaculture system is gonna leave. So it's gonna flow through all 5 ponds and then it's gonna leave right here. And what we're gonna do down in this area right before it hits the river, we're gonna build a really intensive biofiltration system. And so, you know, basically what that's gonna be is a series of swales all planted out. Inside the swales we'll have water-loving plants. All around the swales we'll have things like vetiver grass and different kinds of root crops that suck up nutrients. And we're filtering everything that leaves this system. So the same idea with our contour staple garden. All of our swales will eventually flow to a point here, and they will flow back through the biofilter before they ever hit the river again. This is really important when you're looking at design and when you're designing systems near waterways. You want to make sure any inputs you're going to be putting on the land, even if it's organic. Obviously, we're always going to be using organic fertilizers, but nonetheless, we don't want that stuff getting back to the river. So we're going to send all of this stuff through our system, then we're going to send it through a final biofiltration unit to clean it up and then enter it back into the water flow system, into the water table. Really exciting stuff here. Super glad you guys came out and checked it out today. Stay tuned with us. We're going to keep doing updates as this progresses. And come on out to Serenity Gardens Eco Village and take a look at what we're doing. Talk to you soon.